Hey guys, welcome back to Phoenix Films. Today we're going to be watching Attack on Titan Episode 7. If you're looking to skip to a specific section of the video, check the links in the description or the comment section. Yeah, so some of your comments are like, make the videos faster. I mean, yeah, I wish I could make them faster too. I guess, like, I don't know, the perspective. So last video, right, is like 90 minutes long. So that's like something like 3-ish hours of planning, organizing notes, etc. And then from like last episode and then after the episode as well. And then it's like something like 2 hours of filming for that. And then maybe like 3 hours for editing that down to an hour and a half. And then, you know, another hour or so to review all the footage, collect like the reading links that I use, and making like the meta information, title, description, that kind of thing, and the thumbnail, of course. Then there's also the copyright issues to deal with, re-editing, re-rendering, re-uploading. That also takes a couple hours. So yeah, it's not a simple task, just like, even though like the video might look kind of bare bones, but I mean, yeah, I get the real appreciation for how much work people put into making videos, because like it's kind of a lot. Never really thought about it before. Yeah, so there's been like some crazy copyright stuff. So like it was like midnight last week or this past week, and I get an email that one of my videos was copyright claimed, and then like a minute later all of my videos get copyright claimed, like all at the same time. So then I have to go and then they all get taken down, right? So I have to go and do a counterclaim. Now they've countered my counterclaim, so I have to like counter the counter. It's just it's pretty absurd, but yeah, and now I've got like essentially to the sue me phase of this. It's like ridiculous. Anyway, so for this episode, I'm cutting out the recap. Let me know if you in the comments if you have any interest in seeing that come back or not. It does save me a decent amount of time, especially like writing or getting organized if I cut that out. Yeah, I'm also trying out this this new intro, and yeah, let me know what you think. From last episode, there's just a couple things I thought of. I went back and like checked, and yeah, Mikasa has the scarf in the past as well. And now we've finally got closure for the Forest of Bloody Knives credit sequence with her. It's like the symbolism for her parents' death and for killing a person, which is, you know, a traumatic experience, to say the least. So yeah, moving right along, let's get straight to the questions that I have. Right now, how did Eren end up as such like a good actor and like a psycho, kind of pseudo-psycho killer child? Are the murders committed by the kidnappers and by Mikasa and Eren? Are those common knowledge? Does everyone know that they've done this? Does like Hannes or Armin know about it? Because you know, if they have that information and still act in these ways towards them, it kind of maybe gives us a different perspective than if they don't know it. You know, a big thing is, why is Armin left alive on the rooftop when he was surrounded by Titans? Last episode, it's like hinted that Mikasa's got like some boss or something from the cart scene. I'm not sure if this is like a throwaway line, like referencing Pixis or Gunny or something. That's kind of confusing. So what was in this cart at the gate that was so valuable that like you couldn't take it out? Maybe it's like something to be hidden if you couldn't take it out and transport it on foot. That could be something. Might tie into maybe this criminal underground network kind of thing. Yeah, so also, where is Mikasa's house? Is it like in like the Wall Maria kind of zone, or is it further in? Because like they don't look particularly wealthy. It kind of like is a very simple, average looking home, simple wooden furniture, maybe, you know, like a couple windows. So that like inclines me to think it's in the Wall Maria area. But then the lines about the kidnappers having access to the capital to do the selling, the human trafficking, that, I mean, they have some way, method to get through to the inner areas, right? So is it, that makes me think like, yeah, there's like a criminal network going on, or something like this, to allow them to take people all the way to the capital. I mean, those dudes don't look, you know, they don't look the part, I guess. They don't like look wealthy, so how could they, you know, sneak in? Yeah, so Asians have existed in the walls for the past 100 years. So that inclines me to think that there were like formerly large communities, or one community at least. And, you know, Mikasa's mother, if she's fully Asian, right? She has two Asian parents. And then, you know, are there no other mixed race children like Mikasa? Because she's half, you know? Yeah, last episode there's not really a plan for the Armored Titan, seeing as the Aberrant made it all the way to the gate. So, you know, like, why is that? That seems like a pretty big oversight, right? And then I guess my final question is, for this selfless, selfish theme, and Eren being the only one who kind of persuaded everyone to find their own inner selflessness, how will all of the other characters fare without Eren, you know, without his speeches? Yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see, you know, and Mikasa's reaction, right? All right, then for predictions. So perhaps Armin was allowed to live if the Titans are in fact some kind of hive mind, because then presumably the hive mind could judge Armin, you know, his like mental state, and maybe it determined that Armin would be better left alive in this like broken state that he's in now, and that will do more damage, you know, spread fear, etc., to the rest of the humans rather than just killing him. I mean, that seems plausible. So also with Armin, his like repeated rejection of the hand, the helping hand, all of the scenes, we get it again and again and again, right? Feels like a classic setup for an emotional moment when he finally accepts the hand, right? Whoever's hand that is, I would guess like Mikasa. Yeah, so last episode we also had Franz being half the man he used to be. So there's like no romance. I don't think there's gonna be like romance going forward. It's kind of like a, you know, a tell. And I'm sorry that I forgot Hannah's name. How could I? Yeah. So if in fact the military police, as I was saying last episode, are functionally, or were functionally normal police in the past, before 845, then it seems like the royal guards would have some further selection process than just the top 10 trainees, because I mean, you don't have like hundreds of royal guards, right? So you're going to be having to have like another selection process of some sort. So like the Asians being highly prized thing, and Mikasa named as the last Asian, it's quite similar to all of the other extinctions that are like human hunting caused by a market for like hunting these animals, or in this case people. There's so many examples, right? There's like passenger pigeons, there's the Tasmanian devils, there's the ocean manatees. I mean, yeah, and there's it's a laundry list. The market for, you know, anything really drives human behavior, and it can be like very destructive. Back to this mixed race Asians thing, like Mikasa, if she is the last one, right? So then that means all of the other Asians and half Asians have already been, you know, caught and trafficked already. Like, super dark, right? And then, but this also kind of partly can explain, I think, why Eren is so violent. If he's already known that the Asians have been systematically targeted for human trafficking, then he's already been predisposed to think, you know, very angrily about the people that are doing that. And I imagine it's been going on for years, so this resentment can build up to where he is now, or in 844 when he's, you know, going on the killing spree. And that also kind of explains Mikasa's mom's like very extreme reaction. So she realized, you know, right when those guys are at the door, that right, she's literally right now is fighting for her and her daughter's, you know, freedom, their life, because, you know, she would definitely be aware that Asians are being targeted. Like, her parents are gone already, right? So yeah, I mean, it's really like fight or flight at that moment, and it's easy to see why she would, you know, go immediately to grab a weapon. As much of a weapon as scissors were. I think they were sisters. Yeah, so also the description of like this Asian migration thing from last episode, I feel like rules out the possibility of other survivors outside. Then we have, so the lightning for the colossal, and like the steam, the heat generated by Titans, I think it can be neatly explained by like an energy mass conversion kind of thing happening, and perhaps all of the Titans function similarly to the Colossal Titan, where they're given mass by energy or electricity, a la Frankenstein, and then they vent that energy back by the steam. It makes me think that Titans began or became animated around when electricity was discovered, but before it was, you know, widespread. So maybe it was a local discovery and Titans were somehow created at that place, and then, you know, it spreads from there, right? Perhaps that this patient zero, ground zero, or whatever is like a hive mind. I think the hive mind idea is in my mind, it's the most plausible explanation for Titans right now, because I think it can explain aberrants. You know, they're just more well-connected Titans, and why the Titans left Armin alone, because the hive mind can assess mental status. And I think it doesn't really make sense that it was after Eren, because otherwise it wouldn't send the aberrant at the gate. I couldn't really, I thought about it, and I couldn't really think of an explanation for why it would send an aberrant at the gate if it's gotten what it's wanted through Eren. So I think it's more likely that Armin was allowed to live because his fear can spread and become more destructive to the humans than just killing him on the spot. And yeah, so final prediction kind of thing is, last episode, Mikasa is, you know, like the sole empowered character in this show right now, right? So yeah, she's our protagonist. I'm like really anxious to see how she responds to the information about Eren and the rest of Team 34. Yeah. Anyway, let's get into it. This one is titled The Small Blade: The Battle for Trost Part 3. If you're interested, check the description for a link to the full-length reaction. That'll be with a timestamp. Yeah, well, yeah, let's get into it. All right, I didn't get to start watching it right away. I had something come up, but yeah, now let's get into it. It's a little bit later, but yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, we've seen this already, right? Did I have the same music last time? Oh boy. It's time for the return. So wild. Ant-Man. And they lost the gate so fast. Oh man, I gotta like prepare myself. My God. And that line is like so foreboding. Small blade. Kind of trying to like think about what is a small blade referencing. I don't know. Is that like the knife, the bloody knife thing? I like sense of time with the episodes. Is like I feel a little bit weird just because I've like been watching them so spread out, so it's somewhat hard for me to like kind of keep things straight, I guess. Like what happened in what episodes, and like how long has it been since we've seen many of the other characters. It feels like a really long time since we've seen anyone, but like, I mean, the training episode was probably like a month ago for me now or something. Maybe a month, I don't know. Been a while. Captain. Supply troops. Captain guy. And they're like sideways glance. Oh man. Hiding behind authority. Oh my God, this guy's like so that reminds me of Aaron, actually. Very with me or against me. They use bells to communicate. The Titans have taken the castle. You're like trapped in there. What can you do? Do they have gear? Like, it doesn't look like they have gear. Oh my God. Jan! So they're out of gas. Yeah, the gas is in the bunker thing. Right. Stuck on the rooftops. There's like a lot of people around. So like, what's the front line? And John sounds like so defeated. Oh man, the pessimism is like setting back in. Would have told them. Come on, Sasha. Man, even Sasha can't get people up. Yeah, he's like so broken. It's like pervasive pessimism. At least some of the top 10 has like some kind of action. Oh boy. Oh man. Wow, they didn't even know. Yeah, it's bringing everyone down.
今は感傷的になっている場合じゃない。
Wow.
さあ立って。
Wow.
マルコ、本部に群がる巨人を排除すれ。
Oh. It's like spurring her into action.
できる。私は強い。あなたたちより強い。すごく強い。
The only strong one.
あなたたちは腕が立たないばかりか。臆病で腰抜けだ。
It's like a Aaron speech, but in her own way.
あの数の巨人を一人で相手にする気か。そんなことできるわけが。
できなければ死ぬだけ。でも勝てば生きる。
Oh yeah, she's like
戦わなければ勝てない。
channeling Aaron.
あれで葉っぱかけたつもりでやがる。てめえのせいだぞ、エレン。
Yeah, it's like a surrogate Aaron.
そいつは心外だな。
Alright, the remainder of the top 10. I guess Aaron's the only top 10 dead, right? She's like trying to repeat Mikasa too. Oh, that is a long way. They have like enough gas to get there, but not up the walls. Huh. Those legs. Hmm. And she's like... Oh, yeah. It's like how she deals with it. Splitting up is like never a good thing, right? In like zombie apocalypse. See like a sitting duck now.
また家族を失った。またこの痛みを思い出して。またここから始めなければいけないのか。
She doesn't feel it yet. No, that was fast. As is the wire's closely guarded secret. Yeah, without Mikasa anymore. Oh god, there's like more people running out. God, like being a soldier in this world, like, kinda sucks. It's like just like Team 34 all over again. Death montage. He's just like watching it.
強引にでも止めていればこんなことには。俺に資格があるのか。責任のある立場になる資格が。
John's starting to get this like survivor's guilt too. God. Like people you've trained with for years.
この世界は残酷だ。そしてとても美しいいい人生だった。
Giving up. You're like the protagonist though. Can't die too. No. And she's like,
なんで諦めたはずなのに。
it's like not letting it kill her.
なぜあがく。
If you don't win, you can't live.
何のために生きる意味なんて
What is that?
もうどこにもないのに。
Like symbolism right there. Come on, Connie, Armin.
二度と諦めない。死んでしまったらもうあなたのことを思い出すことさえできない。何としてでも生きる。
Yo, what? Oh man, I'm like so confused now. It's just like a... And he looks this like the other ones. God. It's like not going after her. It's just like a rebellion against the revolution against the hive mind. Well, now that that one's dead, is it gonna go after her? He's like kind of got some amount of composure back. And Connie's so little. Wow. It's like insanely fast. Like the decomposition steam thing. That's some form. Oh, the left hook. That was some force. Oh man. That was like super fast. Hmm.
僕たちに無反応だ。とっくに襲ってきてもおかしくないのに。格闘術の概念があるようにも感じた。あれは一体。
気候種って言うしかねえだろ。
It's just like it's an aberrant.
ミカサのガスが空っぽなんだ。
Yeah, I like don't know what to think. How does that fit into things?
今度は大事に使ってくれよ。私はみんなの命を背負う覚悟もないまま先導した。
Yeah,
そ
she
れも
gave
自
up.
分の都合で。私は刃も全部足した。ただこれだけはここに置いていってくれ。
It's gonna like be on a rooftop again. Just gonna ignore him again, right? Man, those eyes.
アルミン、ここに置いていったりはしない。
He's the only one she has left.
ただひたすら困惑した。
Same.
そしてかすかに高揚した。その
Isn't like he's like not special, right? Because he doesn't have the sinew rage of humanity. Wow, that was so fast. We're already done. Oh man. That felt like so short. Maybe it's like, so last episode was all about evolution, right? Is this one like evolving to be separate from the hive mind? So then like it's got its own autonomy and like somehow acquired it and then like feels angry for being controlled. Maybe. Oh. Well, she was like a lot more stoic than I imagined going into it. And I guess that's kind of to be expected, huh? It's Mikasa we're talking about. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like everyone responds to sorry, everyone responds to stress in their like own way. So Mikasa like feels like she has to act to contain her emotions. And let's see, so then we had like the freckled PTSD girl who was kind of manic. We had Connie, who's kind of frantic. Jean was like very defeatist. He's kind of like the voice of like all of the non top tenors, like him and, let's see, so of the top 10, right, we have, it seemed like the blonde, God, it's been so long. What is it? Annie. Her and who was in that scene? Reiner and Marco and Bertolt, I think, were there. She was kind of like not defeatist. Neither was Reiner. Didn't seem that way either. Marco is like kind of torn. Sasha was like, you know, trying to get people up. Man, when people like don't respond to Sasha, you know, like shit's getting real. But yeah, so like most of the top 10 is unaffected or less affected by the stress of all the death compared to everyone else. It's like that's why they're the top 10, right? And there's people like rushing in to like try and save their comrades and just dying too. It's like, yeah, they just try and cut their losses. Yeah, no one's. She's the only one who's. I think she's the only one we've seen actually kill Titans, right? So, how are they supposed to? Like, if no one else like steps up and starts killing Titans too, right? Um, everyone's like SOL, right? uh, yeah, that's like a lot to chew on. Motorcycles outside. Hopefully, my mic didn't pick that up. Yeah, I guess I'll go into the editing. Kind of late already, so I'll try and finish that editing up and like gather my thoughts and then finish the recording in the morning. Hopefully I can get all of it done by Friday afternoon. Yeah. I'll get to that. I think those are like all my immediate thoughts, I guess. So yeah, I'll be back in a bit. All right, so to the discussion. It is the next day right now, so I'm wearing the same shirt for like continuity. Hope you don't mind. So I kind of changed a little bit the order of how I do things. I've decided to start doing the kind of collecting my thoughts for the post discussion and then doing the editing for the episode so that I can pick out the parts in the episode that I talk about here. So there's a little bit more I don't know, continuity, I guess, again, between what you see and then what I'm talking about. I think in the training episode, I noticed that I referenced something that Reiner says at the lake. But this is just prior to the training episode, one of those, I can't remember. I referenced something that Reiner says at the lake, but I didn't even show it. So I'm trying to like avoid that happening. Anyway, the recap at the start of the episode had it was kind of nice to have that, I guess, because it's been a while, and helps me keeps things in order. But it says, I think there's new information there that the evacuation only took 2 hours, so the gate was presumably held for what, like half that, like an hour. Yikes. Yeah, but yeah, then from the recap we go straight to the supply scene with the captain. Our favorite captain is back again. Like, come on, Hannes, like, come on and replace this guy. It's like, it's wild that him and like his entire team of executive officers have their swords drawn, and the other garrison troopers, the trainees, they don't even have their gear on, and like they're in the basement, right? So has he been hiding there the whole time? And he's like abusing the chain of command to get away and go hide behind the gate now too, and like threatening capital punishment for insubordination. I feel like the other soldiers would be likely to like mutiny against, you know, such a poor show of leadership. And the fact that they didn't makes me think that he might have some sort of connections that the soldiers are afraid of. You know, maybe like an important family, maybe. That could be like the nepotism thing. But yeah, I really feel for, you know, those supply troopers, right? You have like this safe space inside. Why would you risk going out, you know? And the captain just like essentially deserting right in front of you, right? Yeah. But I mean, they're trainees, right? So all their friends and comrades are outside. Yeah. And then, man, that suicide right in front of everyone. It was like so metal. This show. Alright, then we go to the rooftops, and there's like the bell that's rung for retreat. I don't think we hear it, but everyone's like out of gas, and so they can't move, right? And it just like reinforces the importance of logistics. War is like won and lost on logistics, right? Like Napoleon in Russia, or the Germans in Russia. Yeah, if you don't have supplies, your soldiers can't fight, right? And I was kind of wondering, so if gas supply is such a big problem, why don't they carry like extra gas canisters, like a paintball backpack? I'm trying to like put a picture somewhere here. Like I don't. It doesn't seem like being on your back would be um, invasive for their movement. So yeah, kind of an idea that they should consider. But we have Connie trying to spur Jean into action, and Jean's like, yeah, always the pessimistic voice, and it looks like there's so much all these people on the rooftops. They look like so much closer to the wall than the HQ. So like I don't know. It seems like if they have enough gas to make it to the HQ, they could just like go to the wall. Which yeah, maybe there's like some perspective issue, or like it takes a ton of gas to climb a lot of vertical height, which would I guess make sense. But yeah. Also, I kind of wonder like how do they know how much gas they have left, right? So I don't think it's like scuba gear where you have like a PSI gauge. Um, they just like, yeah, I've probably used like half. You just like don't know when you're gonna run out. Just have like a mild inclination. Like, did someone like try and did they like watch someone try and go up and then he like ran out of gas and like splat? Um, yeah. So Jean says like most of the veterans in the Vanguard were killed. Like veterans, I don't, not really veterans, right? They're like all kind of similarly cannon fodder, it seems. But yeah, without Aaron, like there's like no voice of the leader. It's like essentially this leaderless group here. I would have, you know, having like relay officers or something sending out commands, presumably from like the headquarters. Are those what John is referring to as the veterans that are all dead? So that's why they have like no one to take control of the situation, and it's just trainees. Yeah, and then John says this line, if I'd known this would happen, I would have told them. And I'm wondering who this is referring to. Like I actually can't think of anything. So I imagine that'll tie in the next couple episodes. It's like definitely one of those lines you just throw out there to set up something later. Yeah, and then Sasha's like trying to invoke the power of friendship, but she doesn't have like the charisma or the respect to command to rouse all the others to action, and everyone's just got like the same PTSD eye look from the boats in episode 2, and I think we get a quick screen grab of Hannah just like head in her hands. They never had a chance. We have Annie and Reiner, who are kind of hoping someone will be able to spur everyone into action so that they'll have a chance, like a human wave. And I think yeah, of the top tens, like it seems like only Marco and John are like not thinking of ways to move on, to find a way through this. And then like everyone outside of those top 10 are like, you know, extremely defeated. And then Armin's confession is like a super big hit to everyone. You can see like Sasha's like her eyes are like shaking. She's rattled. I think Annie and Reiner are like shook. Yeah. So that's just like, you know, psychological damage by letting Armin live. This is like, seems like the point, right? I was talking about earlier. But then Mikasa arrives, and she goes to Armin, but she doesn't like extend her hand down to Armin like Connie or Eren. She like bends down and grabs his hand, like doesn't give him a choice, and pulls him up. So like she understands kind of his mental state and you know what he's going through, but her eyes are just like jet black, like there's like nothing in them. And yeah, but then to like get everyone to action, she like directly addresses Marco, who's one of the pessimists, the voice of the pessimists, him and John. And she's like kind of this surrogate Eren, trying to rouse people, everyone to action. But Eren like kind of goes about it in some kind of optimistic light, right? For example, we trained for this for 3 years, we can do one more day. And compare that to Mikasa, who is not really like this optimistic, but just like this like fatherly disappointment. You spineless cowards. And but she does have that same line of if I win, I live, and all the rest of that. But it's actually kind of funny, right? So John is the one that feels compelled to follow, and I think this is just tied into his crush on her. Like, you know, he can't let her go alone, right? Yeah. Right, because otherwise John would never be the first person to say anything. But because it's Mikasa, he does. It's so funny though, like Sasha like tries to mimic like what just to mimic Mikasa, and man, her dynamic, Sasha and Mikasa's dynamic is just like so funny. She like, you know, she's like trying to mimic it, and like idiots, and no one's like taking her seriously again. But yeah, it's like all of the top 10 who are like the first to get going, and everyone kind of follows. Yeah, John's kind of like in the mind of if Mikasa can't give an optimistic speech like Eren could, then I guess I've got to do it to like get everyone to get going. And yeah, and then so then Connie splits off from John, and John is left kind of like alone at the head of this entire group, right? That responsibility he feels like comes back a little bit later. So now we've like got everyone on the run. Mikasa's slaying some zombies, and yeah, and she's like only half Asian. Imagine if she was full. I don't know. Do like Asians get superpowers? Is that why they're that this like electricity thing? I think I'll touch on that later at the end of the discussion here. But yeah, she's like going super fast, and like her you know, the legs, so now the legs support the gear. Yeah, she's like super lucky though. She landed on like a curved roof, because a flat roof, like from that height, you kind of go splat. And then yeah, she like lands on the top of a market stall. And she says, I think like the first thing she says is like she's lost her family once more. But so that line combined with the fact that Armin is like still alive, I feel she doesn't feel like a familial connection to Armin. It's just kind of like a close friend relationship, not so much like family like she sees Eren and the Jaegers. But yeah, I mean she's like super bearing her emotions in, and it feels like her phrasing is kind of like if she lets those emotions out, then she'll have to relive that experience, you know, from the day in 844 when she lost her family the first time. Yeah, but then this emotional scene's like broken up by the info thingy, 3D maneuver diagram. There's the gear unit, houses the main wires. It says like contains two independent rotational axes. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. I guess the only way I can make sense of what that means is like the left and the right spool. They're both angled, I think, like this. But then they're, you know, this is a 90-degree angle, right? So that's the two independent axes. Not like a nice vertical and horizontal plane, but kind of two angled planes. That's probably what makes the gear pretty difficult. And then there's like the control system, which is like a black box. But they're just like bike handles. They're like not anything special, right? um, and yeah, the cylinder units that contain compressed gas. So it's confirmed compressed gas, not like compressed air, not natural gas or whatever. So we jump back into the rooftops, and Jean's there, Mikasa's not there, and now they encounter the first Titans without Mikasa paving the way, and no one is able to kill them, right? So Jean's just like standing there like, what do we do? And then the trainees just like rush into their deaths, just like Eren did, like exactly like Eren, right? They're like angry and oblivious to their surroundings, and then just like gets snapped right out of the air. And then like John in this moment has this realization that Mikasa kind of has at the end of the episode, where he feels like, you know, he's at the front of the group, he feels all the responsibility for everyone else. Yeah, but like it's just rubs me the wrong way, because like where are there like superior officers? Is it like there's one officer and it's the captain? Like if there's Hannes as a captain as well, there has to be other captains. So Mikasa on the ground now. She has this line about like a cruel but beautiful world, and we have like these cells, like I don't know, like pumping. It's like got the sound of a heartbeat, and I feel like this is survival of the fittest. It calls back to last episode in some way. It's like, you know, biology. And yeah, her mind is given up, but her body, you know, the cells, they're continuing to fight, right? And she's like confused why her body doesn't let her die. But then there's this weird symbolism thing with like, I think it's a pomegranate that's just like sitting there on the street, and there's like it looks like a spotlight, right? Like on a stage. So like I don't know what that's all about. I think pomegranates have like various symbolism in like dozens of cultures, but I think most cultures like kind of view them a little differently. So, or there's quite a bit of variation in what it means. In my mind, I think it's something about like fertility or a symbol of life, because I think that's the more common symbolism for pomegranates is like they're like the fruit that gives us life. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll like look into that and bring it back next episode. It's like a super beautiful moment, not just in her mind, but in my mind too, when she finds her resolve and has to continue living to keep the memory of Eren alive too. It's like super emotional moment for her. Like she's like coming to terms with her emotions, right? And not like in a negative way. She's like kind of bringing it into like a healthy, actionable way. All right, and then we get to the climax of the episode, the Rebel Titan, Rogue One, if you will. This is like not quite the revolution I had in mind. He's like, yeah, but he's like got normal skin, but he's got like pointy ears, like elf ears, and a sweet bod. That was Myron. That 8-pack. Someday I'll have an 8-pack too. Yeah, but other than the specials, I can't remember seeing like extremely defined muscles on any of the other Titans. So like he's like mildly different, but like how does one become a rogue Titan? Did he like? I imagine he just turned, right? Because otherwise, you know, someone would have noticed. I feel like then like that brings about the question of what was the trigger. Is it kind of like the electricity thing from last episode? Because we see that again in this one, and that and like the survival of the fittest, like the cells pumping, did that like somehow combine to like connect her to a nearby Titan, and then now Mikasa's like unconsciously kind of controlling this one, like tapping into the hive mind somehow, because I think its eyes are the same color as hers. I think they show both of their eyes like almost at the same moment when the Titan first comes in and delivers that punch, Falcon punch. They focus like so much on the eyes though for like, you know, it not to be, it can't be a coincidence. Yeah, but wow, the dead. So then he like stomps on this other Titan, and it dies, and like it decomposes like so fast, like evaporates or whatever it does. Yeah, it's like much faster than I thought it would be, but it's kind of interesting that it works like that, like returning the mass energy back to, I don't know, the world. And we have the Titan boxing scene, which is, you know, the last part of the episode. And this Rogue One has like this the boxing stance. I think it had more of a boxing stance with the hands in a guard, and you know, chin kind of tucked. I think since Annie and Mikasa seem relatively close, like Annie's the first one that Mikasa goes to talk to when she arrives. Perhaps that Mikasa had learned this fighting style at some point from her as well, and this information like transferred into this other Titan, as well as kind of the knowledge of how to kill Titans via the neck damage. Yeah, but it's kind of interesting that it's like mimicking Annie, because, you know, if we believe that Annie is like a revolutionary, then it's kind of fitting that this Titan's like also like a revolutionary, right? and I guess another thing that strengthens this idea that it's like tied to Mikasa is when he like delivers his punches, you get like this red outline flash kind of thing that's similar to the cells kind of pumping that we see, that I think is like a connection between it and Mikasa. And we see this like very cool moment where the Titan looks at its hand, and we get like these fine little, I don't know, like colored, like I feel like they're like electric threads somehow, you know, turning straight into, you know, matter again, right, on its hand, reforming the hand, which is different than I think anything we've seen from the other Titans, where it just like kind of they're like steaming and then their body regrows, but this one seems to be able to do it a little bit faster. But yeah, I mean, it's like still this kind of like electric thing. Yeah, then we have So Armin comes in, swoops in, and he's giving up his gas to Mikasa, and Armin's like, he's like motivated, he's like happy in this moment, right? Because he's finally got some way he can help. It doesn't matter that he has to, give himself up, but he's like finally helpful, right? So he's like, this is what I can do. And then as long as he can save someone else's life, then Aaron's death was worth it, and he feels like he's redeemed himself. He can let go of the guilt. And then with the small blade, the callback to the episode title, he just implies that he's gonna suicide on the roof, right? So like he's released his guilt, and now he feels like he can die in peace. Yeah, and that like extreme position makes Mikasa, realize what she's done, to everyone else. And she feels this like this shame, this like, immense shame about, what she's done. Like she just, to kind of tone for the shame, she grabs the blade, throws it away, and reaches down again on it to Armin's hand and forces him. She pulls him up. The second time this episode, right? So yeah, she really understands his feelings of like inadequacy and how much it means to him to take him by the hand and bring him up to her height, to bring him up to her equal, right? It's very symbolic. And then the closing comments of the episode, Mikasa says, this feeling of exhilaration and the rage of humanity itself embodied about the Rogue One. And so it seems to me like, right, through this entire episode, Mikasa's like been bottling up her emotions. And then right at the moment when she's like having this emotional turnaround, we get this rogue Titan appearing. So I feel like she dumped all of her negative emotions and somehow got like transferred into this Titan, and that combined with her thinking of Aaron in that moment is kind of it suggests to me that she's like projecting her emotions and the image that she has of Aaron into this Titan that perhaps she's connected to. And Aaron's like an angry boy, and that his personality and kind of her anger in the moment, I think that's like the rage itself embodied. So regarding my questions from before the episode, it seems plausible from this one that Armin was left alive. It still seems plausible to me that he was left alive to be morally damaging, because he was quite morally damaging this episode. And without Mikasa turning him around, grabbing him by the hand, like, it was, looking like quite a lost cause. It was kind of interesting, though. We get the Armored Titan is kind of teased in the intro recap thing. So, soon? I guess we'll see. And, yeah, I was wondering if how the characters would deal with Aaron being gone and his leadership skills being gone. And it kind of seems like people are taking up the mantle a little bit. We have Jean, Sasha, and Connie all kind of trying to, take leadership in various capacities, like different facets of Aaron, maybe. And then some of the predictions, yeah, the Armin thing, overcome by power of friendship. Flower power. Yeah, and the moments with Mikasa touching Armin by the hand, I was imagining more like she would hold it out and then he would grab it, but I think this way makes a lot more sense, where she kind of goes to him and brings him up. Yeah, it's pretty touching. I really want Hannah to like avenge Franz, so I think we get a little clip of her, and this episode, you know, suggests that like the Jean Mikasa thing is still kind of alive. So perhaps there will be some romance. Maybe just like one directional. I don't think Mikasa strikes me as a romantic kind of type. Yeah, so about this Asian Exodus thing, if if Asians had enough time to get all the way to Europe after the start of the Titan outbreak, then it seems likely to me that the Titans would have originated in somewhere in Asia. So then they're fleeing from Asia, and you know, otherwise they wouldn't have had enough time, or there wouldn't be, you know, a route to the walls, right? If like it, for example, starts in Europe and they had to travel from Asia to Europe to get to the walls, you know, if there's Titans already there, they're not going to make it. So perhaps that is the connection to Mikasa and like this electricity thing, where maybe electricity was discovered in Asia and that ties Asian people to the Titans in some way. Yeah, and then I think we're like kind of confirmed that this like mass energy conversion thing is happening because it's like, you know, very heavy-handed this episode. The quick body decomposition when the Titans die, and the electric thread-like regeneration of the Rogue One hand. All right, so to wrap up the overarching topics, so the goals now we have everyone's new goal is, you know, grab the gas and get out of Dodge. We have Mikasa, her goals kind of evolve now. It's stay alive and carry on the memories of Eren and his like optimism, and maybe that there is trying to find beauty that is in the world. And then like secondarily kind of convince Armin that he has, you know, the right to continue living too, even if Eren's gone. For Jean, he's kind of like taking on this leadership mantle, and he feels responsible in trying to get everyone to the HQ, the supply castle thing. And I imagine that maybe Annie and Reiner will share some of that responsibility, because they seemed relatively well collected in this episode as well. Maybe Sasha as well, but I don't know. People don't really listen to Sasha. I listen to Sasha. I imagine this Titan Overmind to be aware of the rogue, right? If like the screaming match thing, if that was, you know, if the hive mind can see that this was happening, then I'd imagine it's going to try and find out where this thing is and converge on it before this, I don't know, rogue Mikasa's ability develops. If there's more that like she can take control of, you know, before it spreads, I'd imagine this, if there is a hive mind, it would want to stamp it out quickly. So maybe it'll send like the armored in. You know, if the specials are connected to the hive mind, then, you know, they'll get sent in. Maybe the armored will get sent in to tidy this up, and then after that is dealt with, and he can go take out the gate. So conflicts, not much has changed, I guess, but perhaps the Titan going rogue is the revolution thing that I've kind of been sitting on. Maybe there isn't so much a human revolution, but it's going to be like a Titan revolution. It's kind of neat way to turn the idea on its head, in a way. Or could be, if that's the case. And then we have like this brewing conflict between the trainees and the captain garrison guy. And I think if the trainees somehow make it through this, I could definitely see some mutiny, kind of, you know, maybe like locking him up or whatever, you know, taking control for themselves. And then I guess finally, closing themes, the selfish versus selfless theme is, you know, the captain, El Capitan, you know, first he's hiding in the basement, and then when things get dicey, he's like the first person to leave. And there's kind of like this other facet of kind of selfish versus selfless is also kind of driving it, is like this optimism versus pessimism kind of thing. So like if you're filled with pessimism, your psyche is kind of under duress and you're kind of forced to be selfish, perhaps. And it takes some amount of optimism to get people out of that and into a state where they're willing to fight, you know? Kind of have the survival of the fittest recanted by Mikasa. Someone had suggested, I think in the comments, that it might be better phrased as like a cruel world, like Mikasa does say in this episode. But I think the connotation of survival of the fittest is cruelty. So, you know, the process doesn't care about the pieces that are involved. It happens either way, right? So I think that's kind of, cruelty is inherent to that, the kind of the survival of the fittest idea in a world in which being kill each other. Yeah, and then there's also kind of like this biological, maybe switch related, maybe to this pomegranate somehow, that pushes Mikasa to the edge. So the first time she's pushed to the edge in her emotional state, we have the electricity and she like becomes in full control of her body, right? So round 2 of her being, you know, pushed to the brink, maybe she it's like an evolution of that to, you know, the next level, control of her full body and then control of others as well. Yeah, so this is like the next mechanism that she's kind of developed to stay alive and to win. And then I guess kind of the theme of this episode is like taking responsibility for the people that are in your care, right? The captain not taking control of the defense or of the supply troops, not taking responsibility. Mikasa failing to lead the soldiers, Jean failing to prevent the soldiers charging in. And then both Jean and Mikasa, through the episode, their kind of arc this episode is coming to the realization that they have this responsibility. Mikasa for the responsibility to hold on to the memories of Eren, and also kind of realized there's this responsibility for Armin as well. And then Jean, you know, taking responsibility for the soldiers, right? And Armin trying to take responsibility for thinking that he had killed Eren by saving Mikasa by giving up his gas. Also, I think ties in. Those are kind of the overarching things. So I think I'll close up. We've now, I think, have perhaps a way to kill all the Titans and take back the city. I wonder if Mikasa can control and turn others some way as well. So perhaps we'll actually have a way to get to the key. If it's still in the whatever Titan that was. Bearded one, I think it was. There were like a lot of different Titans in that scene. I can't remember. And I was kind of thinking that Mikasa's kind of like perhaps our Carrigan. She's the Queen of Blades. That fits like so well. And maybe the enemy Titans perhaps should have had, you know, more overlords. It's a bad joke. Need more overlords. Was it spawn more overlords? Yeah, so I feel like the next few episodes, perhaps we'll kind of get this like ability fleshed out and maybe see what the limits are, and maybe she'll like learn how to control it. I can see that kind of taking the focus, and maybe the taking back of the HQ will be kind of in the periphery. I think that's everything. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. All those things dramatically help the channel's visibility because of, you know, YouTube algorithm god. Yeah, and any interactions. I love your comments too. They make me really happy. If you want to see more of this, the only way to make sure you catch all of the uploads is the bell icon. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.